Thank you, Keith. So, as you heard, my presentation will be about the highlights from recent scientific advice and protocol assistance on quality issues. So, my presentation will be divided into 4 parts. First, I will give you short information about scientific advice procedure. Then I will be looking at the main issues that are concerning quality. And in the third part, I will try to give you some illustrative examples of the questions given and the answers given on that questions. Hopefully it will be of any help for you. And I will summarize the main points in the conclusion. So here is first some brief information about scientific advice. Every company can ask for scientific help if needed, and this procedure is called scientific advice for products for human use and protocol assistant for orphan medicinal products. Both procedures are similar and all are coordinated by Safety Advice Working Party. The composition of expert group in the Safety Advice Working Party is stated in the mandate, and the group consists of 29 experts, which some are nominated from different committees, as you can see on the slide, and others are taken from experts from different member states, and these experts are carefully chosen according to their expertise. The goals of the Scientific Advice Working Party are to help and guide during development phase in order to ease the access to the final drug product and to reduce and explain regulatory procedures, and this way to help smoother assessment after submission and speed up the whole procedure for the approval. The applicants are encouraged to engage on the dialogue as early as possible, as also stated in the mandate. Here we have some definition. What is considered scientific advice? According to legislation, please notice that the scientific advice can apply in a company developing medicinal product, and it does not necessarily has to be only products for centralized procedure. So anybody who developing products for nationally applied products or decentralized procedure are welcome to apply for scientific advice through this way. Special way or form of scientific advice, so-called protocol assistance, is used in case you are developing an orphan medicinal product. I'm sure that anyone who is developing that kind of product is aware of it, so we'll go through the right way. The advice is given by answering questions. It is a whole report which consists from overview of the product and then the company position to the question asked, and then there is an expert assessment and the answer. I have taken some example on this picture. I have copied the part of the table of this year's schedule of the Scientific Advice Working Party. So as you can see, for instance, if you have submitted your questions by 19 March and you would have required a pre-submission meeting, then you can expect that your procedure would start in June 2014, and your answers will be, you will have around 24th of July 2014. The same would apply if in case you don't ask for pre-submission meeting, and then the questions has to be sent before the 23rd of April to get this timeline. So it's also good to look at the timelines to see how quickly you will get the answer. I did not include any fee policy, but as you probably all know, for small medicinal enterprises there are special reductions So you are all welcome to use this procedure. So I have made a small survey with help from the Scientific Advice Working Party coordinators, and looked what spectrum was concerned around quality. And it is for drug substance, as it was mentioned here also already several times. It is a synthesis of drug substance, and especially it's a designation of starting materials. And of course, there is a specification. There might be also a specification issues, proposals of limits for impurities. For the drug product, it's often composition and formulation questions in line with development of products, then also acceptability of proposed formulation for pediatric population. Then there is a lot of issue around manufacture, which concerns the transfer, manufacture, comparability issues, use of advanced techniques during manufacture. And again, specification and also sometimes stability issues. On the last slide, you can see a graph where you can see how the questions were distributed in between different topics. As you can see, the most questions have been posed for specification and stability, and manufacture, and quite significant number has been given also for the pediatric issues. In the other quality issues is hidden a lot of questions for starting materials, I'm sure, but it's not stated in this graph. So this was a kind of a short overview what scientific advice comprises of. And now we come to illustrative examples. I have taken all these questions and answers have been actually posed and answered by experts. Some of the questions are a little bit reformulated, so the confidentiality is gone, so you will not know exactly what kind of product it is or what kind of starting material. So sometimes maybe you will miss some details you would like to know, but I'm sorry, I cannot give it to you. So first I picked starting materials. So the question was, does the EMA agree that substance A and B can be defined as the drug substance starting materials to support MAA submission and product registration? As a background information, we can say that there are sufficient number of chemical steps between the introduction of the designated design drug substance starting material and isolation of final drug substance to allow for the control of any impurities introduced by the starting material. And the starting materials A and B are shown. Now I can show you the answer. Maybe surprising. CHMP answer was that the starting materials as currently proposed were not acceptable, and as you can see, sometimes a lot of steps in between the starting material and final drug substance will not help you, because in this case the assessment of criticality of all steps was missing. The impurities present in the API originate in steps upstreams from the starting materials, and although starting materials I made by custom synthesis using a series of genotoxic reagents via genotoxic intermediates, changes to the synthetic group upstream from the starting materials could therefore significantly affect the impurity profile. So this is one way how what our answer can look like to you. The other example is also again about starting materials, and it's again the other way around. Thus, the CHMP agreed that the manufacture can be a single-stage process from a common starting material for pharmaceutical manufacture due to the simple nature of the chemical. As you can see, as a background information, the current GMP manufacture of the active substance is a single-stage process starting from the material, which is EP grade common substance. Of course, in this case, the CHMP answer was quite easy, stating that considering that starting material is of pharmacopoeian quality, it is normally considered acceptable to use this complex compound as starting material. Right. The next is again about starting materials to kind of show you the variety of questions we get for these kind of issues. And it's again, does the CHMP concur with the proposed designation of starting materials? I have shown you a schematic of the synthesis. Of course, you don't know how the molecules look like, but at least to kind of illustrate how the synthesis goes, that the B and E are not isolated intermediates. And the CHMP answer was, since the manufacturing process proceeds via 7 chemical conversions, and the applicant proposes starting materials that all of them are commercially available and their synthesis have been disclosed, the starting materials are considered acceptable. And there are also some additional information what should be good to be covered in the dossier after it is submitted. The other area is formulation. I picked up one question which considered the pediatric formulation. And again, if the CHMP agreed that the current drug product formulation is acceptable for pediatrics, for information, it was injection for intravenous administrations, and it contained sorbitol and some unknown excipient. The CHMP answer was this way, that the justification why other possible dosage form has not been provided. The use of sorbitol in pediatric formulation should be discussed and justified, and commonly used excipients are recommended to be used in formulation. As you can see, it is important that you give enough information and justify your case clearly for the scientific advice, so you will not get answer in a way that the justification was not provided. Then I picked the specification. Of course, it's a common question about impurities. Does the CHMP agree with the proposed level of impurities? As a background information, I can tell you that the API contains 2 unidentified impurities, representing a total of up to 2.3%. The chemical structure of the active substance does not belong to any class of known high-potency genotoxic carcinogens, and the efforts to identify these impurities were unsuccessful. However, the CHMP answer has been given this way. Based on the data provided, it cannot be evaluated whether the proposed total impurities levels are acceptable. Additional data should be provided in the clinical trial application. Historical batch analysis results should be provided, and the analytical methods should be described. Regarding the unidentified impurities, it should be stated if they are synthesis-related or degradation products, and the efforts undertaken to identify should be described. As you can see, partly it looks like that the company did not give straightforward answer to what the level of impurity is, but at least it gives some help of where to look and where their concern of development should be aimed at in this case. Then there is a question about control strategy. The question goes, the potential sources of genotoxic impurities will be controlled during in-process validation, change control, and in the drug substance specifications. These impurities will not be controlled in the finished product specifications. Does the agency agree with this approach? The answer was, according to the ICH guideline, the general impurities present in the new drug substance need not to be monitored or specified in the new drug product unless they are also degradation products. In a view of guideline on genotoxic impurities, the applicant should therefore justify the use of these two genotoxic substances in the synthesis of the active substance. The other example is of a questions which I could not put under any heading, and it went like this: does the agency agree that the outlined drug manufacturing process and the applied control are adequate to support approval for a marketing authorization? This is a quite general questions, and as you can see by the answer, the applicant should be aware that no pre-assessment is made at this stage and full documentation has to be assessed. During the scientific advice, we are not very keen on giving you exact answer on what will happen, and that it will definitely be adequate to support your approval for a marketing authorization. However, we have commented some parameters on the manufacturing process for the company as stated below, but you don't have anything below stated because it was confidential. Then there is another example. It's a method description. Does the CHMP agree that the study conditions used to carry out the comparative in vitro dissolution test between the reference product and test product are correct? We have received informations about apparatus, volume of dissolution, medium, agitation, temperature. Sampling schedule has been also provided. And the CHMP answer was, the applicant has briefly described the study conditions used to perform the comparative in vitro dissolution tests between the reference and this product and seem adequate. And then there is some note which is often done during scientific advice to kind of recommend to the applicant or to make sure that the applicant understands that more detail is needed after the real submission in order to fully demonstrate the compliance with pharmacopoeia and other guidelines. And now I come to my last example, and it's about the stability. Does the agency agree with the planned stability strategy? As you can see, the company is making 3 strengths using the same formulation in proportional composition and intends to apply stability bracketing in this way, and the answer was really easy in this way, that the planned stability strategy is considered acceptable. I'm coming to the conclusion. So as you can see, you can ask any questions you like, and if this is something you don't understand or which is difficult for you, might seems easy for somebody else, but still you are welcome to ask these questions. And it is very important that the questions you raise are well posed and the supportive information you provide is sufficient, so you will really get the information you are seeking for. Questions should not be very general, as you have seen in one example. And it should be also noticed that after you apply for scientific advice and you received some answers, it should be stated by you during the in the application of marketing authorization that you have applied for the scientific advice and what was the outcome of scientific advice. And in case for some reason you have not followed the scientific advice proposal, it should be justified why you went the different way than it was advised. This is also because in case you follow the scientific advice, you might then not get, and you explain that you have asked for the scientific advice, it might be easier for the assessor to assess it and maybe not to ask any special extra questions because they know that you have already went through this during scientific advice. And that's all from me. Thank you for your attention.